Every now and then people come up to me and say, how do you become a pro wrestling referee? I've always wanted to be a referee. I just don't know where to start. Well, let's talk about it. Welcome everybody to Verbal Wrestling. My name is Charlie Woo, and Charlie Woo is in the house. Now, today's video topic is about how to become a pro wrestling referee. Now, I remember as a kid, I always wondered, how does one become a pro wrestling referee? You'd watch WWE and you would see the two wrestlers beating each other up, and I'm like, that is awesome. But I found equally as awesome is the referee yelling at the bad guy for doing something wrong. And as small as that referee was in comparison to the two big wrestlers, I thought that, wow, that guy's cool. That guy's actually yelling at that big brute. And the big brute has to back off because that guy was the referee. So that always piqued my interest. And flash forward until now, I am now a pro wrestling referee in Southern California. Now, every now and then I will go to a show. And people will ask me, well, I always wanted to be a referee. How do you become a referee? Because in reality, not everyone aspires to go through the physical training to become a pro wrestler, but they see themselves as referees. And also sometimes I would read comments on wrestling videos, and you would also see people say, I always wanted to be a pro wrestling referee. Well, I'm hoping this video will shed some light on what people do in order to become a pro wrestling referee. Now, I only know of two ways by which a person can become a pro wrestling referee. The first way is that they go to a school. They get trained properly at a school. The second way is usually because the guy is helping out a promotion. He's always there putting chairs up, helping out with the ring crew, manning the merch table. It's a guy that's usually around with the promotion. And at one time, one of the referees, or they have no referees at the show, so the promoter will give that guy a striped shirt and say, here, referee this match. We don't have any referees today. And so he gets thrown into the match. Now, that one's kind of harder to actually develop as a referee, because who's training you? What kind of opportunity do you have to understand how referees work? You're just thrown into the match. But that's how some people become referees. But I think everyone, if you really want to become a pro wrestling referee, you could actually go to a wrestling school. A wrestling school will actually teach you not just refereeing, but they'll teach you pro wrestling. Now, when you go to a pro wrestling school, more than likely there is no real referee program on how to become a referee. What usually happens is that you're going to actually be a part of the beginner's class, or a part of the new wrestlers that are there. I guess beginners, yeah. So you're there, you're going to be doing the exercises with the beginners. You're going to be doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, doing squats, doing everything that the beginners do. And because these are beginners, you will probably be taking bumps as well, because they're there to teach you pro wrestling. Referees are just an aspect of pro wrestling. So in order for you to really understand your aspect as a pro wrestler, they want to make sure that you know about pro wrestling from the wrestler's perspective. And so you'll be taking bumps, probably you'll be doing a lot of sets, but there'll be a point when all the trainees will actually start leveling up and understanding more of what to do and how to stand and how to hit and how to take bumps and stuff like that. That they'll start moving into doing spots together. A spot, basically a sequence of moves that culminates into a pin or to a cover. And at that point, that's when you're going to diverge to become a pro wrestling referee. Because as they do these spots, these are guys you're training with. As they do these spots and they take the cover, that's when you get to be practicing counting 1, 2, kick out. That is very important, because the more frequent times that you actually do the pinfall, the count, the better you become. And what I mean the better that you become, your positioning becomes better. Your slap on the mat becomes better. The loudness of your voice becomes better. It's just you start honing the skills of a pro wrestling referee. And also know that when you're at a pro wrestling school, the one training is a pro wrestler. He is either active or retired. There's usually assistant trainers and veteran students that actually probably still are wrestling on the indie scene. And so they know exactly what referees do. So they could also give you tips and tricks on what to do. They'll be able to tell you, hey, get louder. They'll be able to tell you, step out of this way. Don't stand here because this is where the motion of wrestling goes. Because if you get in the way of a spot that wrestlers are trying to do, you break their momentum. You break their flow. So you have to learn to stand in neutral areas. The only way that you can really understand that is really physically being in the ring. And the way that you can perfect that is by going to a wrestling school and being a part of their training. When they do the spot sections, you'll be able to practice your time as a professional referee. If you get better and better at this, usually these schools will actually have shows, and it's at these shows when you'll have your opportunity to become a ref. Now, usually these schools, it takes a while before you get the permission for wrestlers to have the permission to wrestle. But for referees, if you become proficient, it's easy for you to start reffing matches at their shows. So that is one of the best ways actually to learn how to become a pro wrestling referee. Go to a pro wrestling school. Now, the other part, when people just merely get a shirt from a promoter, usually those are people, they don't really have a wrestling school near them. Around their area, there is actually a show that runs regularly, and so they start helping out at a show. So if this is your situation where you don't have a school where you can drive to, get to, because sometimes it's just too far away, help out at a show. A pro wrestling referee is just one aspect of a full show. So in that show, there's so many different roles. If you've shown that you're willing to do every single role that needs to be done, whether that be passing out flyers, setting up chairs, setting up the ring, doing security, and then at the shows, taking people's gear back to the back. If you show that you are trustworthy and really want to be a part of wrestling, that promoter, you express to the promoter that you always want to be a referee, that promoter will most likely give you the opportunity to referee a match. Most likely he'll tell one of the referees that they hire, hey, can you teach this guy how to become a referee because he always wanted to be one, and I'm going to give him a shot in one of these shows, give him a match, and then you could learn from a senior referee that's in that place. And you learning how to do what we need to do in the ring may develop really slow going through this path. But if you do it enough, you will be able to become a proficient pro wrestling referee. But if you can, go to a pro wrestling school. Express to them, I want to be a referee, and they'll be able to help you live your dream. And so that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys found this kind of informative. And sometimes, you just got to step out of your comfort zone. You may want to become a pro wrestling referee, but it'll never come true until you take action. That's all I got for you today. My name is Charlie. Woo!